Why, hello there. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sally, and this is Sally Stitches and my channel about cross stitch and all of my other hobbies. Hey, it has been a minute. It's been 5 weeks since I filmed, and I missed you guys. I have attempted to film this video like every week, basically since spring break, and life just keeps getting in the way. And so today we have a lot to catch up on, and I am just excited to get going, I guess. So I wanted to thank you for all of the lovely comments you left on my last video. A lot of the comments had some suggestions for some really interesting and cool YouTube topics for me to enjoy while I was cross stitching, and I appreciate it. I wanted to call out especially someone suggested watching videos about mudlarking, and I have enjoyed the heck out of that. So mudlarking is like searching, kind of like treasure hunting, basically, through like riverbeds and areas where there's been water, and just kind of seeing, what you find, hidden kind of underneath the sediment. And I have really enjoyed learning a lot about that. I always love a good treasure hunt. So thank you very much. It was much appreciated, to learn more about that. So, hey, I didn't prep anything today to talk to you because part of being away for a long time is you kind of lose track of what's been going on, and it's been 5 weeks. So I thought what I would do, I do have a list of stuff I want to talk about today, but I thought I would give you a little sneak peek at my awful, distracting desk, which is right behind us, because I think what I need to do is I need to kind of go through that first. And why don't you come along with me? I've got all of the things I purchased for, through the Needlework market last month there, and just a bunch of other projects that are kind of like half done. So let's go over this way first. Let me give you a peek. Oh, it's awful. Let me gather everything and bring it to the coffee table, and we'll take a look at it together. Okay, I just feel already so much better having removed stuff so I can see the surface of my desk. But this pile that's lurking in the corner has absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. So let's just start moving through it. First off, this is a cute vintage like Easter decoration. I did not decorate for Easter this year. I went through like a kind of just rough period with my son Nathan, where he was really getting frustrated right around bedtime, and he was not he was kind of having these little outbursts that involved picking my stuff up and throwing it down the stairs. And so that has subsided now, thankfully. And actually, I'll show you in a couple minutes, we got a door, so he no longer has access to just chucking stuff down the open stairwell, and that has made a huge quality of life difference in my life, and I'm very happy that we have that going on now. So hooray. But I didn't decorate for Easter. I received this from my friend Connie. It was included in a different package of a vintage item I had purchased. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down to Craft Dungeon, and I'm going to put it with my Easter decorations. This is a fabric pull from my stash, and so I'll just set this here for now. We'll see if we can find the pattern. This is a sticker I just got from Chantel's 141. It says, "Warning, I have the patience to stab things thousands of times." Very fair warning. So project bag stuff. These are Lego instruction manuals for a series of Legos that I just built. I built this series. This is called The Four Gentlemen. It's a bunch of botanical pieces. There's an orchid, there's a chrysanthemum, there's bamboo, and then there is a plum, representing like 4 important plants that are important to Chinese and actually Korean culture. I am part Korean, and so I ended up building them, and they were a lot of fun. I did one every day this weekend. This was Easter weekend, and here I'll show you a couple of them. This was the orchid. And then I'll show you my very favorite. And there's loose Lego bricks in here because used Lego bricks kind of represent the soil in here. So I don't want to tip it too much. But this is a plum blossom. So May is Asian American History Month, and so I'm going to take down my St. Patrick's Day decorations, because remember I never replaced them with Easter things. And I'm going to put a little Asian American history display up in my dining room later today, hopefully. So let's see what else we have. We have some more stickers. This is from my Pip Sticks sticker subscription. I've got some floss I ordered online through 123 Stitch. I ordered this online because I had to get some Classic Colorworks floss for a different project, and this is for my Christmas all year round project. This is for the next stocking I complete, so I'll put this with that project. Since I was already making a purchase through 123 Stitch, I ended up getting a couple of fabrics just because I wanted some fabric, and so I got a 40 count Newcastle linen. This is an 1/8 yard, and the color is Conifer, and this is a picture of this plus fabric. And then this one, I guess I'll have to open this. Sorry about the crinkle. This is a 1/4 yard of 32 count fabric. It's called Pickled, and it's also a picture of this plus cut. Picture this plus cut. That's hard to say. So I got these just to kind of fill my order, because I didn't want to just get like, you know, 6 threads and just have that be my order. So I will put these away. I've actually brought my fabric stash upstairs so that I could kind of have all of my cross stitch stuff consolidated. So I'll show you that in a little while. So let's make this part of the fabric kit pile. Okay, now we're starting to get into my market purchases, and I'll show you what I have. First off, I purchased from Hands On Design Ladybug Picnic. Here's the new pattern. And I already had these 2 leaflets. This is Liberty Pennies, and then this is Botanical Bees. And so I went ahead and I made a little project kit, because these are little projects and I think they'll be a lot of fun to do. So I have pulled some fabric from Stash for Botanical Bee and for Ladybug, and they're both 28 count fabrics, so these will finish a little bigger than, you know, the 32 count that's recommended, but I think that'll be fun. I have not pulled floss yet. Both of these use Weeks Dyeworks as called for colors, and I haven't decided. I think it'll be one of those cases where if I have the Weeks in Stash or something similar through another fancy floss company, I'll use it for this project, but I'm not going to buy floss for this, because they're small and I want to use my floss money on other things. So that's one of my Needlework Market purchases that I had. I'll put this with my floss kits, or my project kits, for later. I also got My Cat Helper by Tiny Modernist. I just think this is super cute. So I'm going to put this with my pattern leaflets. Night Garden sticker. This was something that they gave me with my purchase. I had purchased all of my needlework patterns through Top Knot Stitcher here, you know, in California. And she sent this, which was nice. So, oops, my cat is menacing me. One moment, please. Okay, we have some fabric, and I've actually pulled this fabric for another design that I got at Needlework Market. So this is by Buena Pieza, and it's called Cross Stitch, it says Cross Stitch Pattern Seasons Town. And you can see it's like split up into quadrants. I ended up pulling this fabric from my stash that I do believe will be big enough. This looks like this is just a scrap of a neutral fabric of some sort. I don't think I have the info card. Oh, here it is. This was fabric that was dyed by Jody from the Steel City Stitchers. And yeah, it was just a 28 count fabric. And then in here, this is the project that I actually fully kitted. And I decided to use the called for colors, which are all gentle art threads. I just think that the bold colors are going to be so pretty. This is like a generated, you know, like a computer model of a pattern. I've seen the actual sample on the Instagram page of the designer, and she used the gentle arts, and they're just beautiful. 2 of the gentle arts I was not able to get, and so part of that 123 Stitch purchase I told you about earlier was getting some other threads to go with it. So replacing Carriage Black, I got Blackboard by Weeks, And then another color I was missing was called Bayberry by Gentle Art, and I got Bayberry by Weeks Dye Works. So I think that those substitutions will be nice. I've plotted this into Markup RXP, and so I know approximately how much floss I need for every color, and it should be a treat. So this is a kit. I hope to start that one very soon. Okay, I also got this pattern. This is Robin Pickens' design called Facing the Sun. Really like the bright colors and just kind of the graphic nature of the design. You know, just good graphic design. Kind of has a mid-century modern feel that I like. This was part of a collection of Robin Pickens patterns I received. I also bought this series. This was the new pattern, Sweater Weather Springtime Florals. And then when I realized it was part of a series, I got the other two that are out. I don't believe summer is out, but here's Winter Pinecone. And here is Fall Acorn. I think Fall Acorn is my favorite, probably because of those oranges again, huh? Yeah, I think I'm going through like an orange appreciation period. So I'm going to put these patterns in my pattern bin for now. I'm not ready to start, but I am planning in September to go to a retreat where Robin Pickens is the featured designer. So I think I would like to stitch this one and then maybe bring my pattern leaflet and see if she'll sign it, like autograph it like a celebrity, because she's a cross-stitch celebrity, right? So these are going to go with my patterns to be filed. Here is another hands-on design pattern, and then I have a bit of cardboard I'm gonna just throw in the recycle bin. This is called There's a Hare in My Garden, and in the bottom there's a corner that says Big Awesome Produce, because this piece is, the model is stitched on like, I believe a 10 or 11 count fabric. And so this strawberry, I like to think of it as a carrot because it's an Easter themed pattern, but this strawberry carrot is like the size of a small baby, like a 5-pound baby. It is huge. And I just think it looks really cool. I did not want to stitch mine as massively. And so that's what this fabric that I pulled earlier is for. This is a 32 count raspberry by Weechelt. And I'm going to stitch this on that. And so if it's a 32 count, it'll probably be like the size of like a real carrot. It'll be, you know, maybe like 8 inches. And I think it's gonna look really pretty on this fabric. So I just need to go ahead and get some floss and then hopefully stitch this up. This would be a fun springtime stitch. So I'm gonna put this in my kit pile. This was a freebie design, courtesy of Top Knot Stitcher and the Blue Flower. I'm sorry, I shouldn't show you the actual design. I will blur that out using the magic of technology, but it is an iris pattern by the Blue Flower, and then on the other side there is a butterfly fairy pattern by Chelsea Annie B's Folk Art. So that's really nice, along with that Night Garden sticker. That was a generous thing, you know, to be included with my purchase. The last pattern I received was by Colleen of Rebel Stitcher Designs, and this is called Disagree, and it is a Quaker design. And I was really excited about this, and then I also found out that it is gigantic. It is 240 by 157 stitches. It took 7 skeins of classic color work. I know the person who stitched this model, and she said it took all 7 skeins. I think this is really a cool pattern, and I want to stitch this with like a slightly variegated floss. I will need to pick one that I think looks great, and then also I'll have to acquire 7 skeins of it because this is going to be a huge undertaking. So for now, I'm going to file this with my patterns to be filed. And then I didn't mean to include this. This is medical paperwork. I will have to file this. That's not craft related. It just happened to be on my desk. But I have some more Pip Sticks stickers here. And then the last thing I have is, this is a fabric I purchased, it was released around market time. I purchased this from Fabrics by Stephanie. It is a 32 count cut of pomegranate Lugana, and it's a 1/4 yard, it looks like. I thought it was really pretty pink. I'm stitching a lot of pink things right now that I'll show you in a little bit, and This one just really spoke to me, so I will put this with my fabric stash. So we got a lot sorted out here. My desk is mostly empty, and this stuff is in neat piles to put away. I think what I will do first is I'll take care of these stickers and then also show you a little bit of them. So these are from one of my subscriptions. I have a subscription to Pipstick's like Sticker of the Month Club, and these are from March, and then I have the April pack here too. So I'll show you what one of these sticker packs looks like. First off, they give you a little magazine called Pippi, and it has a lot of, you know, fun activities and info about the stickers and the theme of the month. Every month has a little theme. March's theme looks like it was arts and crafts, which is right up my alley. And then they always include a bunch of different sticker sheets, and I'll give you a look at some of these. So we've got a washi tape one, and then pretty happy mail. More happy mail with animals. So maybe this is about making things and sending things, right? Some stamps. What I'm doing is I'm sorting these sticker sheets out by the size of the sticker because I will put these in an album. This one's one of my favorites. It's craft carts. I bet you everyone I know has a craft cart, and they use them a different way, and then they always are like, this is not working how I want it to be. And that's how I am too. I have a craft cart, and I use the top tier for knitting stuff, and then the bottom tier is like miscellaneous office supplies, and I'm like, how do I make this more functional? Origami, like frilly frames. They're not quite crochet, but I don't know what those are. Like cut paper, more washi tape. And then each pack always has like a big sticker. So this pack is a Happy Mail snail sticker. And then they usually have a postcard too. So we'll just go through this really quickly. More mail. I like this one. Happy Mail. Journaling. Cute packages with people. And then here's the postcard. It's a kitty cat with stamps. I use these postcards. Sometimes I send Happy Mail to other people, and I'll throw in a little like postcard just for, you know, politeness. And that is something that I will definitely use. So that was that month, and let's go ahead and open the other one. So when they come in the mail, they come in a little glitter pack just like this, and I haven't opened this one yet. So let's pop it open and take a look. Sorry about the crinkle crinkle. So the theme of April looks like flowers maybe? Let's see if it says in Pippi. Floral. Yep, it's flowers. That's fun. So we'll go ahead and sort this guy out, and I'll show you. So it looks like the big sticker is flowers in a bathtub. Cactus cats. Daffodils. I have one daffodil that is almost ready to bloom. Hopefully more will follow. Like woodblock flowers. Cute hobbit doors. Beavers with mushrooms. More mushrooms. Bleeding hearts. That's fun. Or fuchsias. These are fuchsias. I loved those as a kid. They are like the most Lisa Frank of flowers. A cute strawberry sheet. And a cool tulip garden gal. That's the name of this sheet. That's cute. Cone flowers or echinacea. Hummingbirds. Pansies. Flowers in bottles. And then the postcard is the cute little beaver with the mushroom. So very cute. Let me show you what I use to store these. I have a Pipsticks sticker keeper. So this has a bunch of different pages. Let me get these things out of the way so that I can open this up. But there are a lot of sheets inside the page. So the first couple of sheets are like for special stickers. Like you can stick these in and out like color forms. I stuck, you know, a couple of political stickers I had. And then the next sheets, we have the sheet for these squares. I think these are like 4-inch square sheets. And then the magazine is the same size. And so I can tuck the pockets. The pockets are double-sided, so I can put stickers on both sides. These are from some of the previous months. And then you can buy additional pages if you run out. Like I frequently will run out of the 4x4 pages, and it looks like I'm getting pretty close. So then what I can do is when I get the new stickers, I like to do them in the order that I received them, and so I shouldn't have done that. Okay, flowers and crafts, right? Happy mail, flowers. Okay, so flowers, crafts. Crafts came first. So what I'll do is I'll put the magazine in, and then I'll start filtering the stickers in. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. It'll take me a couple minutes, but I'll show you the rest of the binder real fast. So we have those pages. We have pages for more like oblong shaped stickers. And then in the back, it's hard to shift all the pages at once. But in the back, there are these sticky sheets that you can use for the big stickers, and you can kind of create some fun little like motifs if you want. I just kind of put them in random order. So these sheets have a peel back protector thing, and then you can go ahead and just, the pages are a little tacky, so you can put extra stickers in. Oh, I'm on my last page. I'll have to get more. So what I can do is I can peel this back, and then I can stick my big stickers. So I've got my flower bathtub and my mushroom, and the backings are still on the stickers, and so I can shift them. But I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put my little night garden there too, and then I'll open up that other Chantel's 141 sticker. Sorry, I'm gonna have crinkle crinkle again. And then the clear page protector goes on, and then I'll have room for more stickers. Oh, my little turtle fell out. This one I will put here. This is an Alice in Glass turtle. This is a little pouch in the back that you can stick like loose stickers in. Flakes, that's what they call them, flaky stickers. So anyway, I think it's fun to have a sticker album, and you know, stickers are something that, you know, I get a lot, retreats. A lot of times people will distribute stickers or share stickers, and then I just really enjoy having a subscription. So I'm going to cut this for a minute, and I'm going to just put all my stickers away, and then yeah, we'll get back to the video. Hey, this is so satisfying for me to finally see a little surface area on my desk. I'll never do like my taxes here, but it's nice to have just kind of a place I can set piles down, like, you know, as long as I get, you know, most of them taken care of eventually, right? So this is my Bisley unit that I keep my stationery and my knitting notions in. And actually, while I've got you here, let's do a quick home tour of things that I finished in the last month, because they're all hanging in various places throughout my house, and I don't want to get them all back out and, you know, sit in the chair. So, hey, first up is this one. This is the Arctic Animals by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This was stitched with a kit that I purchased directly from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and I believe the fabric is Picture This Plus Nocturne, and it's a 28 count. And all the threads are DMC, with the exception of there are some sparkly treasure braid there, but mostly here in the constellations. I finished this into a banner using a dowel rod and some ribbon, and then I made a border using 1.5 inch squares that I sewed together with 1/4 inch inseams, I would say inseams, 1/4 inch seam allowances, you know, to make 1 inch squares. I tried to pick some colors that I thought complemented the piece, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. A lot of these little pieces of fabric are from previous projects I finished, and so it's kind of fun to have the little memories there too in the finished piece. Look at that little pumpkin guy at the bottom. That's my favorite. So anyway, I finished this earlier this month, and originally I was going to swap this out with this other Frosted Pumpkin piece I have, which is called Into the Jungle. This was a stitch along from, I want to say 2021 or 2022. But I thought they looked so cute together. And so I ended up hanging them both up right above my desk. And what a cheerful corner that makes. Well, we're gonna walk down this hall. I hope you do not get dizzy because I wanna show you the next piece I finished. Now, I am not counting this as one of my 25 finishes in 2025 because I actually finished this in 2024, but I just got it framed and now it's hanging on my wall in the hallway here. This is Night Walked Down by the Blue Flower. I stitched this with the called for colors, which are mostly threads from Weeks Dye Works, but the fabric I chose is this really gorgeous mottled green. It's a 32 count and it is by Under the Sea Fabrics. The color is called Enchanted Forest. And I just thought it really set the mood for this piece. So I framed this using a kit I bought from a website called AmericanFrame.com. What I did was I measured my piece after lacing it to a board, and then I chose a mat and a frame and then the glazing, you know, online, and then they shipped everything pre-cut to me, and then it was just a matter of putting it all together. One thing I really like about this is I'm using like a low glare, non-glare acrylic glazing. It makes the piece itself lightweight. So if a cat or kid knocks it down running through this bedroom hallway, it's less likely to get damaged from glass breakage. And then also it's really cutting down on the glare, although we're in kind of a dark hallway. So it's not like super glary anyway. I have it on this wall, and then on the opposite side, I have my other Blue Flower piece. This is Huckleberry Farm, which I finished last year, and I did the non-glare frame and everything by American Frame again there too. So, but back here is what I am most proud of, and I am walking closer and closer and closer so you can see it. Do you remember how pretty much all of last year I worked on this project? This is 324 by Works by ABC. And how I did this was I did one of these little motifs every day. And I finished it on March 24th. So 324 on 324. This was one of my New Year's aspirations, and so I'm really happy it's up on the wall. When I bought the frame for Night Walked Down, I also picked up the frame for this. So this is an American Frame thing. Did not choose a mat for this piece. It's 14 inches square. I do have the non-glare glazing on top though. And I'm really excited about that because you may have noticed I have another piece and they are twins. This is not a piece that I stitched. This is a vintage crewel embroidery piece from the 1970s. The name of the design is Wind Fantasy, or I'm sorry, Fantasy Wind. And it was made by a company called Tyco. And how cool that I have a new piece, hey Nathan, and an old piece together at the same time. So these are some of the finishes I have up on my wall, and boy, I gotta say, when you finish an art piece, it's just so nice to like see it every day as you're moving around your house. So this is gonna get really menaced by Audrey, my cat, at any moment, but before it does, I wanted to show you my May display. And in May, we are celebrating Asian American History Month, which is something that exists in the United States. I'm not sure if it's a worldwide thing. I am a quarter Korean, and so I have some of my Korean stuff out on display. Plus, I just put together some new Lego kits, and so it's a little mishmash. So this is a Lego, that's a Lego, that's a little guy I crocheted, that's a teapot and a teacup from my mom, given to her by my grandma, and a chrysanthemum Lego, hard to say that. Inside my glass cloche, I have my small Korean wedding ducks. These were given to my mom and my dad when they got married. I got some other ducks in there too. This is a cross stitch piece I did by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It's called Cherry Blossom Sampler. And then I just put this Lego set together. This is actually two Lego sets. There's a set that has the birds in the nest, and then some cherry blossoms that I had a good time putting together. I've got my Spring Folk by Hands On Design. This is a Pyrex dish. It is called kimchi. And then this is my favorite Asian American, my dad, when he was a baby. I didn't have room, so I put bamboo over here, but I think it is vibing pretty well with the other stuff on this table. Hello again. It's days later and I'm in my family room supervising Nathan, who's playing outside, and I'm going to go ahead and go through all that stuff that I pulled off my desk and put it away for good. So let me get my camera on this tripod and then I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, well, since I filmed last, I actually did get some more fabric in the mail. This is my Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers Fabric Club of the Month piece for April. It's called Willow Ash. This is a 40 count, and it's this really pretty gray with like some hints of like blue, like slate blue in it. So I'm really excited to add that to my collection. I think it's gonna be a good neutral. So I like to wrap my fabric on pieces of comic book board. I mean, buy these in packs of 100 from like places like Amazon or like comic book shops. I believe these are, actually I can measure right now. They are 10.5 inches by 7 inches. And so what I will do is I will put first like the information about the fabric right in the corner. So I've got the brand name, the cut and fabric count size, and then if there's like a name. And then for these club fabrics, I've started putting the month that I received them in, because I think that's, you know, something that is important to know for the future. And then what I do is I fold the fabric long ways, so it's like a skinny strip, and then I wrap it around the comic book board. And for these Fiberlicious, I just leave the label on the fabric. But if it's a sticky label, I will usually remove it. And then I use a sewing pin to secure it. You might have just heard me drop my sewing pins. Let me grab them real fast. It's really important when you have sewing pins that you make sure you get stainless steel, because you don't want them to rust. Some people like to use plastic clips, like the kind of clips that you get like for clothing, like when you buy pants and they come on a hanger like at a store. But then I just use the pin to secure it. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the rest of these and then I'll put them away. Well, there we go. We've got satisfying little bundles here. I will put these away in a second. Whoops, looks like my pin came loose because I didn't pin it all the way through. Let's fix that real fast. As I was saying, I will put these all away in a minute, but before I do that, I wanted to put my new patterns that I'm not planning to stitch immediately away. And that is this right here. Come on, I know I had a few more. Did they get mixed up? Yes, they did. So, for patterns, I have a file box. Let me tilt this so I can show it to you. Oh, this tripod. Sorry. There we go. So my file box has individual files that are alphabetical, and there are 13 files in here, 12 files I believe, and so each file has 2 letters, and then I just organize by the designer's name. So for the first pattern I have Rebel Stitchers Disagree, and so I'm going to pull my QR file out. I'm sorry, I'm doing this around a tripod, can you tell? And I can go ahead and put it right in and then put it away. And actually, Robin Pickens, I'm going to go ahead and put in with Rebel Stitcher. Yeah, I will. This gets really confusing because Pickens is her last name. But when I think of the designs, I'm going to actually think of her as Robin Pickens, like it's a brand name. So I'm putting it in the R's, not the P's. So let me just grab a couple more files here. Let's see. That goes right there. I've got my Tiny Modernist design here. And then my little freebie. Hi, Nathan. Little freebie guy. I'm going to put this under B for blue flower because there is a blue flower pattern on it. And then the other side is another designer. I keep my fabric in this Sterilite gasket box. It's got these little rubbery things on the edges to keep things air and watertight. And instead of having these organized by count, I have them organized by color. Because I find when I pull fabric for a pattern, I tend to pull based on the color of the fabric and then look at the count and make sure. So I went ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and just file. You might hear Audrey in the corner hassling me, as she does. It's getting tight. This means I better use some more fabric. have two of these boxes. I have this one right here, which has most of my colorful bright fabrics. And then I have a second box that's the exact same size that has my neutrals, like my grays and, you know, kind of some of my darker blues and my black fabric. I've recently moved my fabric boxes into this corner over here. This is a console that has most of my other cross stitch stuff, and some of the kids stuff I'm gradually taking it over though. And then an entire week passed. I have been so busy. And so every day I've been like, can I film a little more? And then something happens. So now it has been 6 weeks since my last update, but today I got up, I grabbed all my projects, I ironed everything, and I want to show you everything I've worked on because I've actually been cross stitching quite a bit. So earlier I showed you the stuff that I had finished by doing like a little mini hallway tour because everything was up on the walls. One of those aspirations was to finish that 324 piece by March 24th. And then I had like 4 other crafty aspirations this year that I've kept up on. And so I'll start with showing you those progress pieces first. First one I have is my Stitch Alone. This is a pattern by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It is called Once Upon a Time. I'm stitching it with the called for DMC flosses on 28 count doubloon by Picture This Plus. And what is a stitch alone? Well, this was a stitch along way back, I want to say in 2013, and I never finished it. In fact, I started it in the middle because I started it late, and then I made a big mistake, and then I put it in a very, very, very long timeout for like a decade. So this year I've decided to stitch it alone. So every month I am doing one of the clues, and happily they're very conveniently labeled. Each clue is a different fairy tale. So we've got Snow White, we've got the Frog Prince, 3 Little Pigs, and then April was the 3 Little Bears with Goldilocks. Can you hear Audrey clinking away in the background? She wants me to open the window, but it was frosty this morning after being like 80 degrees yesterday. So springtime in Michigan. So May was where I actually made the mistake before. And so I'm excited that tomorrow is May 1st because now I get to redo this clue. It is Jack and the Beanstalk, and I get to do it correctly this time. And I get to keep up on this progress. So stitching alone and keeping on track. Very good. The next piece I have to show you is part of my Christmas all year round project. And so every month I've been choosing a different Christmas project. Now, not all of them are cross stitch projects. I also have some felt ornament kits that I would like to finish this year and, you know, a couple other odds and ends. But one of the biggest parts of that project is that I want to do a set of stockings for my family. And I've gotten 2 of the 4 done. I've showed you these in previous videos, but I'll show it to you again. Actually, let me get this cat out of my way first. Hold on one second. So a couple months ago, I finished this stocking. This was one of my first Christmas projects. And this is a design by Satsuma Street, and it is called Cosmic Christmas. So you can kind of see that stocking outline. And I stitched this on a 28 count Fabric of the Month Club fabric by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. It's just beautiful. Well, that was the first stocking. And then last month, I did a stocking for my daughter, Katie. And I showed you it as a work in progress last month, but I'll show it to you as a completed project now. This is also done on a 28 count Fiberlicious Fabric of the Month piece. Didn't it turn out really nice? So this is another Satsuma Street pattern. This one is called Nutty or Nice. And it features a really cool nutcracker motif in front of a kingdom. There's a little mouse king on the bottom. And this is a stocking for my daughter, Katie. So my plan is to continue the stocking project and make a stocking for my son, Nathan, and a stocking for my husband, Mike. I have the patterns kitted out for both of those. I have a pattern called Sky High Santa, which I'll try to put a picture of here, for my son Nathan, and then I have another pattern for my husband Mike called Oh What Fun. Both of these are by Satsuma Street, and I I'm going to kit them one at a time. So I'll do Sky High Santa next, and then Oh What Fun kind of toward the end of the year. Oh What Fun is the one that I am not 100% sure on. And so I'm kind of hoping that when Jody releases new patterns, you know, kind of toward the end of the year, if there's something that I don't like better, I'll stitch this one. Otherwise, I might change that last one up. We'll see. It's a wild card. So that was last month's Christmas all year. And so for April, I switched gears and I did a totally different kind of project. But it's something that I had wanted to do, and I'm really excited because it's going to be all ready to display during Christmas time. And here we go. This is Christmas Folk. It is a long kind of band sampler that was released by Kathy of Hands On Design for part of the Jingle Ball last year. And I have done another series by Kathy that is very similar. There's like a seasonal folk, like winter folk, autumn folk, spring folk, summer folk. And all of these pieces fit the same kind of wooden display board by Chantel's 141 Design Company. And I can use magnets to interchange them through the seasons. So I'm going to finish this one the exact same way. I actually just picked out some fabric from my fabric stash. This is like an Allison Glass sampler or sample piece that I thought would really look nice with the pears, you know, bring those yellows in. And then I also have some Lady Dot Creates trim, which my cat knocked down. Oh, no, I have it right here. It is a red color called Brick House. And my friend Jen from Ohio gave this to me because when I saw her at StitchCon last year. And actually, I'm really excited. Jen and I are going to be roommates tomorrow when I go to a retreat. You guys, I'm going to a retreat tomorrow. Chantel's 141 Pep Rally is doing like a spring break retreat. And the featured designer is Nicole Spohr. I have no idea what project we're going to get to do. I think it's going to involve felt, which is fun because I love felt. And I haven't packed yet. And so I'm making this video instead. But I think that, you know, this is helping me because I have to decide what to bring. And I definitely could bring my Once Upon a Time because tomorrow's May 1st. And so I can start my May clue. And then I rolled a Tiny Decisions wheel earlier today to see if I could pick out my next Christmas project because I will fully finish this guy, but I need a new project for May. And the project that I got is a brand new project. I haven't even started it. It's not even a whip. And this is something that I bought from a magazine. I have a design sample page, but it is by Emma Congdon of Stitchrovia. And the design is called Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And this is from the Cross Stitcher magazine, I believe November's issue from last year. Isn't it cool? So I have my pattern leaflet all printed out, ready to go to the retreat. And then I have my project bag ready to go. I have all of the flosses and the hoop in here. Looks like I need to put some needles and a needle minder in, but I'll show you the fabric that I chose. And some of the flosses, unless I can get this whole fistful of floss in my hand here. Most of these flosses I was able to pull out of my floss stash. I am finding that I have to be more frugal with flosses. They went up in price again for macroeconomic reasons, I guess I would say. But so here are the flosses and the fabric I have. This is a Fiber on a Whim cut. It is cream and sugar. This is a 36 count. So it's gonna make a really cute size and I can't wait to get started. In fact, I might put a couple stitches in tomorrow morning before I drive down to the retreat. So, oh, I'm so excited. I'm really excited to see my friends. So Christmas all year is really in full steam. I've wondered if, like, as the weather got nicer, I'd get really sick of this, but I've really enjoyed making these projects and then anticipating, you know, being able to enjoy them when the season, you know, actually is here. And also a lot of these were whips. And so it's nice for me to get them out of my whip wheel, which I use sometimes to decide what I want to make. And also, you know, just to like kind of free the materials, you know, like I don't want to buy any more embroidery hoops, but I hate like having to pass a hoop on from project to project. I like to keep all my projects in individual little bags. And so I need to stitch more, but I don't have enough minutes in the day apparently. So I have a couple other whips that I've worked on, just 3 more here. I'll give you an update on my bees in the greenhouse. This is a pattern by the Blue Flower. And the last time I showed you, I was about 2.5 of these little like house-shaped panels in. There are 6 total. So I had that, and then the echinacea, and then the straw flowers, the red flowers, is what I had not done yet. And then everything else. Got some bleeding heart. And then I forget what this panel is going to be. This pattern is almost, I want to say, 35% just white floss for all of these little greenhouse style designs. This is very similar to a pattern I stitched last year called Festive Forest. See if I can put a photo of mine right there. And so I'm going to finish it exactly the same way into like this little like muffin shape, I guess is what we've been calling it. This is actually the other half of the same fabric I used for Festive Forest. It is a 36 count by Fiber on a Whim, and it is called Cypress. So I think I'll definitely bring this with me on the retreat. So I've got this, and I've got Once Upon a Time, and I've got my new Christmas project. This is a 2.5-day retreat. That is probably enough projects, but I'm going to bring some more. So, because I've been having so much fun with these other 2 projects that I don't think I could leave them behind even for a couple days, because I have to have the option. So this design is something that I just started, and it was a Nashville Needle Market purchase, and I just couldn't wait to start it. And I am stitching this on a 40 count fabric over 2. I'm using 1 thread, and I kind of feared I'd bit off more than I could chew, because this is also a dark colored fabric, and I was having a hard time. Like, I was having bleary eye, you know, after a session of this. It was definitely a daylight only project. Let me show you what I have so far. This is by Buena Pieza. It is called Dino Garden, and I started at the top. So I have this like cool pterodactyl thing going on, and now we're gonna get into like the garden, I guess, the dino garden on land, and then there's some water dinosaurs on the bottom. I am using another Fiberlicious Fabric of the Month Club fabric. That's been a really good club for me. I am finding that I'm using a lot of them. I'm using 1 strand of DMC floss. Most of them are called for. There are a couple that I just did not have in stock, so I did some substitutions using a website that I find really helpful by a graphic arts designer named Cody Hoover. I'll try to put a link to the website like in my description below. But one thing that I found that really has improved this project, and as far as I enjoy it, is I switched my needle to a smaller size needle. I typically use 26 gauge needles. I buy them all. They usually come in Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery kits, honestly. And then I just keep them until they start getting dull, and then I stop using them. But for this, I went to Michael's because they had 28 gauge DMC needles. And boy, the smaller needle is gliding through this fabric just like butter. So I'm very excited. I am going to probably buy another pack or 2 of 28 gauge needles. I think for 1-stranded work, these are probably more comfortable for me. I think the DMC ones are okay, but I have noticed a little thread fraying, like maybe like a little burr develops in the eye sometimes. I can't tell if that's just because I'm doing 1 strand. Maybe I pull my floss too tight, you know, and weaken it. Or if there's an actual issue with the needles. I've heard sometimes that DMC needles can have that happen. And so I'm going to try to get like, I usually get Bohin brand needles, but I see that John James has some needles. And so maybe it's time to, you know, try out needles and expand my horizon, I guess. So I've had a lot of fun with that. This represents about 20% of the whole piece. It's kind of a tall and skinny. So this is the width of the whole piece, and then it's going to come down like this. About 10,000 stitches. I love it. The next piece I'm doing is also another small small pattern. I'm stitching this one on 40 count too. This one I'm having an easier time because it's a light colored fabric. And actually this last weekend, I could not put it down. I started the weekend at about 25% complete, and then I am really close to 50% complete. And I'm definitely going to bring this one. So this is by Jessica Doizé, who goes by Jed X Stitch on Instagram. And this pattern is called Cherry Magpie. And you can see the cherries, and I'm starting to add some magpies. There's one right there, and there'll be one right here, and then the big magpie will be in the middle. So 40 count over 2. I'm using the called for flosses, which are mostly DMC, but there is like a pink color and cotton, like here, and then there's this really pretty dark teal Threadworks floss. I forget the name of it, but it's really pretty. And I just think that these pinks and blues and greens are just singing on this beautiful fabric. Kind of like, I feel like the light's behind me. There's that better? Mostly cross stitches, but one thing I really had fun with, if you can see it, these little cherries on the border are done with a Rhodes stitch, which is basically just like, kind of like a swirling like satin stitch where you stitch diagonally and then a little less diagonally, and then you're kind of stitching around like that. I don't know how to describe it better than that, but yeah, it made the stitches kind of puffy right there, and they're so cute. I really love it. I just think this is a lot of fun. So right now I'm working on this part right here. This is like a fruit basket, you know, so it'll be piled with cherries. And then I started up here and I'm working kind of that way, which is clockwise. It looks counterclockwise on my camera right now. So that is all of my cross stitch works in progress. So even though I haven't had time to film, I've had a lot of time to stitch. And so as the weather improves, I feel like I'm going to keep wanting to cross stitch, especially in the evenings after the kids go to bed, but also sometimes just kind of outside while I'm hanging out on my back patio, and maybe even take it out to a couple places. Like I like to go to the library and get some stitches in. And now that it's nice outside, I would like to maybe get out and hit the town again. So looking forward to some good weather. It's really, once that grass starts to get like really green after that first rainstorm, it feels like it's springtime. And so very happy about that. So before I wrap this up, I did want to talk to you a little bit about my other crafts, the and stuff today. And I've been working really hard on my knitting, and I've got kind of a cool milestone to show you there. And then I'm starting to think about like summer quilting again. So let me show you my knitting first. I'm sitting on it, please excuse me. So I have been working on this long scarf, and it has gotten even longer in the past couple weeks. So let me stretch it out for you. Start at the beginning. This is called Unicorn Stripes by Antonia Shankland. I'm knitting this with a bunch of Madeline Tosh fingering weight mini skeins. So each stripe is a different color, and there'll be 30 colors total. I started this last fall, and now it is out of scarf weather season, but I don't care. See, it's gonna look like a cool scarf when it's done. When I started this earlier, I started it and I did not knit enough rounds, and so my stripes were too narrow, and I realized I would not have enough length to actually be able to wrap it around. And so what I ended up doing was I ended up just pulling my knitting off the needles. This is my first start right here, and then starting on the opposite end of the scarf, and I've been working toward you know, the beginning again. I only have a couple colors to add before I get back into these beginning stripes. I've got mostly neutrals. I've got kind of an eggplant purple and like a couple grays, and then there's a black. And then we start adding these colors back in. Now, my concern with these, let me see. Should have prepared better. This is the live end on this side, but you might notice as I pull the yarn out, it's holding the memory of the stitches, like all those little knitting loops. So it's starting to look kind of crinkly like telephone wire. And that can affect the texture of the knitting, like, and be really noticeable, because I switched from like smooth, you know, into like kind of bumpy yarn. So I've decided that I'm going to start unraveling this, and I'm going to work just gently to, you know, kind of straighten the yarn. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use this contraption. This is a Nutty. I made this for spinning yarn, and I actually have it kind of like in an H shape, but what you do is you alternate it so that they are like 90 degrees apart. See, like that, sorry. I made this out of 1/2-inch PVC pipe with connectors, but what I can do is I can take the end of my yarn and then I can wrap it around the legs of the Nutty, and it will wrap it into like a usable skein. Because once it's wrapped on the Nutty, because the Nutty is plastic and I don't have to worry about it melting or anything, I can maybe put this over like a tea kettle. You know, I can steam it a little bit, or maybe puff some steam with some iron, like a clothes iron, and my yarn will be straightened again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpick like 2 colors at a time, and then I will wrap it around this contraption, steam it, and then kind of let it just like lay loosely and unknit for a bit, and then I'll incorporate it into my scarf as I'm going on. I'll see if I can find a link to make this. I made this like a decade ago. I also have like a spinning wheel, and sometimes I like to spin and make my own yarns, and this is very useful for that. But they're not very easy or difficult to make, and they're like super handy, easy to store. And if you break it, you can just make a new one. So this one is so big because it, I made it so that if you wrap around, and you're kind of wrapping in like a zigzag, you know, like kind of like an elongated figure 8, I guess. But when you wrap around, like one continuous wrap is about 2 yards. And so all I have to do is count the number of wraps, and then I know how long my yarn is. So these are all little 10-gram skeins, so none of these are going to be very long. But I'm not going to make a whole new Nutty just for that. So that's my knitting project. My crochet project is the same one I've showed you before, but I've added a couple more stripes, and I've gotten kind of into like a final countdown era with this. And so I'm very excited. This is a blanket by Kirsten Ballering of the Hakmarak blog. It's a free pattern, and it is called Origami. And this is the top half, and I'm close because like for cross stitch, you needed to be close, but now I have to lean way back so you can see the other side. So, struggling. So it's a blanket. It's a throw size blanket. And since I've seen you last, I've added this stripe at the end. So you can see I started with these like yellows and golden, like kind of taupey colors. And then we got kind of rosy, and now we're into purple. And so when I added this row, I officially hit 3/4 done with this. There are 10 squares that are for each row, and then there are 12 rows total, so 120 squares. That means I only have 30 left and I'm done, except I've actually worked on the next row. This is a hot mess because I didn't take my own advice or weave any of my yarn tails in. But these are going to be the last colors for the last 3 rows. So we've got those purples, and then we're kind of getting into like a chocolate brown. All of these yarns are by a company called Sheepshees. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's spelled like this. And it's a series of yarn called Metropolis. It's got a little wool in it, and then I think it's a blend of wool and synthetic. And it's really soft. I like it a lot. And so I am really having a lot of fun with this project, and I think I'll bring it to my retreat with me. At least this part of it, maybe not the whole blanket, although I could bring the whole blanket. I'm only going about an hour away, you know, from my home. And so I guess if I have a disaster and I totally forget something really important, I can come back. Although I hope that doesn't happen. So that's what's next for me. I'm gonna get ready for my retreat. I'm gonna leave tomorrow, have dinner with my friend Jen. You know, the one downside to this retreat is it is in like the East Lansing, Okemos, Michigan area, which is also the home of Michigan State University, which is one of the biggest universities in the country, and it is graduation weekend. And so the hotel was a little more expensive than I'm used to having. And by a little, I mean like it was double. So macroeconomics, right? And so I am really glad that I have a roommate to help with the hotel. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to try a restaurant that she recommended. And then I have a couple other friends that I've met at other retreats. My friend Kim, my friend Lynn. And I'm hoping that, you know, fingers crossed, we all get to sit at the same table together at the retreat, and it's gonna be so much fun to see my friends. So, and I brought snacks. I have M&Ms to share. So, hey, if you are going to this retreat, please come say hi to me. I love to make friends. I'm gonna try my hardest to get this video out today. I will just edit a storm. My captioning might be wacky because I probably won't proofread it as closely because it takes a long time to do this. And this video in particular will be weird because I've been kind of filming all week. And I'm not even sure what I filmed, what'll show up. So, but to recap, over the last week, I have done a lot of cross stitching. I finally put my St. Patrick's Day stuff away and put out a cute display for May. And so that felt like good, like, yay, I'm on top of things. I organized my big pile of Nashville Needlework market purchases, and my desk is clean. It was very distracting earlier, and so I'm happy to say it's still empty. And you know, I just lived my life and, you know, enjoyed spending time with my family and enjoyed talking with my friends, both near and far, and I've enjoyed the weather very much. So hey, thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm hoping that I'll be able to update more regularly. Maybe this, like, filming a little bit here, a little bit there is like the way for me to go. As the school year ends, I do find it's harder for me to do this. Also, we had some personal stuff going on that is bumming me out. I'll tell you about it. So my husband works for a company that has announced that they're going to be laying off some people, and my husband is one of the people that's going to be laid off. I am sad about that. I know that it's not my husband's fault and that just business is sometimes business. But I really kind of naively thought, oh, cool, everything's, you know, steaming along. And so I've been like really anxious about, you know, what the future is going to look like. The good news is that my husband and I are both on the same page. You know, we both think that it's important for one of us to have a very flexible situation, you know, to take care of our disabled child, and then also our high school kid who has needs of her own, right? But that person might not be me. It might be my husband. I haven't worked since, you know, like a full-time job. I did have a job last year, you know, at that museum I used to work for. But I haven't had a full job since like my youngest was a baby. And while I do have, like, I went to school, I finished my degree, you know, stuff like that, I have like no job experience, and I wonder if I'm even like marketable as an employee. And so I'm feeling weird about that. But you know what? My husband is a hard worker, and maybe he'll get a job and then I will still get to be home. We'll see. So, but you know, just, yeah, what a bummer. So if you've gone through this before and you have any advice, I'd love to hear it. You know, shout down in the comments below. But yeah, I guess I'll end it here. And so I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the sunshine, and happy stitching, friends. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.